Hello, guys. Today we're going to be looking at a very famous artist. His name is Vincent van Gogh, and we're going to be looking closely at how he creates movement in his artwork. Now, when we talk about movement in art, we mean it's how the artist directs your eye across a painting. It showing you where to look. They do this through their use of lines and color. And we're going to see that a lot with Vincent van Gogh. It's a lot like rhythm in music. Okay, so let's get started. He was born in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is a country in Europe. And since he lived in Europe, he traveled to many different places there. He traveled to England, Belgium, and France. And he was always very inspired by nature and things that were around him. He painted lots of portraits. We just saw a self portrait of him, still lifes, which we know are paintings of things that cannot move, and then landscapes of those places that he visited. His artwork is very famous now. He's very well known in the art world now. But when Vincent was alive, his work was not popular. People were confused by it. It was very different from other paintings at the time. And a lot of times when things are different, people don't like it. But through all of that, Vincent's brother, Theo, encouraged Vincent and supported him. He would take him to different art galleries in London. And he also would buy him some paint supplies every now and then. And Vincent was very inspired by his brother and those trips through London. Vincent and Theo had a great relationship. Theo always believed in Vincent. If you look closely, you'll see that movement we were talking about. Okay, he uses what we call brush strokes. That's just the mark that your brush makes when you paint. A lot of times when we paint, we try to smooth it out. Vincent didn't do that. He used very short, choppy brush strokes that created short lines in his paintings, and he would change the direction and then use different colors again to create that movement. So if you'll look up here at the sun, you'll see how he kind of turns them to make that circular shape. So again, he's directing your eye. He's showing you where to look in his paintings. If you'll look right here, again, you can see how he changes directions. These ones are horizontal. Then he's got some vertical ones. He's got some that are more radial for the stars. Again, he's kind of showing you where to look. Your eyes are just kind of moving across the paper. That is movement in art. Again, it's a lot like rhythm in music. I want you now to use your artist eyes and look closely at this painting. This is Starry Night. This is one that some of you will probably recognize. I would say it's one of his most famous paintings. Again, look for those brush strokes. Again, the brush stroke is the line that your brush makes. And look at how he changes the direction, especially right here. Follow that little blue line as you go and see how he turns it into a swirl. And then same thing, he's got the circular ones up here. It's not a long continuous line. He liked to use short lines. So again, just take your artist eyes for just a moment and look at that, because what we're going to do is we are going to be creating our own version of Starry Night. With it being winter time, we are going to be drawing a snowman, and then the background is going to be inspired by this painting. So again, take another second, look at those details, think about the colors you see, and then we'll get ready to get started. So as you saw in our learning purpose, our job today is to really focus on the movement and how Van Gogh used lines to create that movement. So we're going to be drawing a snowman in Starry Night. So let's get your materials. You're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil or a Sharpie. You know, I like to use my black Sharpie marker. You'll need crayons. And then I would pull out one of those broken crayons that we've talked about before. I'm going to use a blue one, and I'm going to use it today to color my sky when I'm completely finished. So again, you need paper, pencil or a black marker, maybe both, crayons, and then remember we want to have one of those blue crayons for the sky. So now we're ready to draw our snowman in Starry Night. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna use my marker. If you want to draw with your pencil first, that's fine. But as you know, Sharpie shows up better in the video so you can see, and also it just makes your artwork pop a little bit more, okay? So I'm gonna come over and I'm going to come to this corner and I'm gonna go up a little bit, about right here. And I'm gonna draw a slanted or a diagonal line right here. This is gonna be the bottom of my snowman's hat. Just like that. Now I'm gonna turn that slanted line into a rectangle. Okay, next we're gonna add a rectangle here. Here we go. A little bit more square-like, but that works. I'm gonna go ahead and add a line. That way I have a little detail on the hat. Now let's add his head. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna draw part of a circle, not the whole thing, because I want the hat to be sitting on his head. So we'll draw. Here we go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and work on his face before I move on. Let's give him his nose. Then let's add his eye. Now notice I have the nose on the side because in mine, I'm gonna have my snowman looking at Starry Night. So I'm gonna add the eye, and I'll add a little circle in there. There we go. Now since it's only, he's looking over to the side, you're only gonna see half his face. So that means you're only gonna see half of his smile. So I've got the coal there. Perfect. Okay, now let's go in, let's add the scarf. So I'm gonna draw 2 lines, 1, 2, and I'm gonna connect them with the curved line. Okay, next I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna add the scarf. Now, let's see. When I do the scarf, it's gonna look like I'm adding 2 rectangles. So I'm gonna come over here, let's do 1. And let's do 2. There we go, and I'm gonna go ahead and add the little pieces at the bottom. There we go. Okay, next I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna add the next part of the body. So I'm gonna draw that part of a circle. Remembering that this one's gonna be bigger than the first, and then let's do the last one. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go in, let's give him his buttons. And if you wanna make those heart-shaped or diamond-shaped so you can color them, remember, you're the artist. Now I'm gonna go in, let's see, I'm gonna add a little texture here. We'll add some designs on the scarf. And do you notice what else I'm missing? Have you seen it? I need an arm. I need my not my scarecrow, oops, my snowman to have an arm. Draw 1. Give him a little thumb. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my arm. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna draw a kind of curved line for a heel for the background. Remember, don't draw through the middle of your snowman. I'm just gonna kind of go off the paper. And then I'm gonna add another one over here. I think this is why I thought of the scarecrow, because it reminds me of the scarecrow activity we did back in November. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on my Sharpie, unless there's anything else you wanna add to your snowman, because the rest I would recommend doing with your crayons. So go ahead and pull those out. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, I think I'm gonna add some trees here, maybe like an evergreen, like a Christmas tree. I'm gonna color my snowman, and then we'll add the sky up there, okay? So to draw a simple tree, and again, you could do yours a different way, but I wanted to show you this. You'll draw a line, and then do a little zigzag, and notice how it gets bigger as I get to the bottom. So let's do it again. Zigzag, and then it gets bigger, and you can go in and kind of color that in a little more if you want. Okay, we'll do it again. You ready? This one I'm gonna make tall. Zigzag. And zigzag gets bigger. Now the reason I do the trees first is because I'm gonna fill this whole open spot is gonna be the sky. So I couldn't go in and add that later because this part would most likely have crayon on it and it wouldn't show up. So that's why I add it first. And let's add one small one right here. So straight line, then a zigzag. Remember, it gets bigger at the bottom. There we go. So let's see, I'm gonna take a moment and I'm gonna go ahead and work on my snowman. Now when I color my snowman, one thing I like to do, see how it's so white? I like to take a blue, and you could use any of them. You'll notice I have one called cerulean, I have indigo, that'll work too. But you're just gonna draw a dark line that follows that curve and then ease off a little bit. So let's add some here, because I like to add a little bit more color. Okay, we'll do it one more time. Dark line, and then curve. Gets a little bit lighter. And let's see, I'm gonna go in and color my snowman. And remember, you can change the colors. If there's something else you want to put, go for it. Now the reason I put the blue on this side is because I'm going to end up putting my moon right here. Okay, so the moon would shine down and that would show up the white, and then you'd have like a shadow on the back. Okay, so that's why I did it that way. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to move over. I'm going to start with my warm colors. We talked about that with our hot dogs and cool cats. So I'm going to pull out some warm colors from my crayon container. I'm gonna use, let's see, this is the violet red. Remember I told you how that one can kind of go either way? I'm gonna use it for my stars, I think. And I'm gonna add a little pink in there. Okay, you ready? Now, to do this part, I like to start with the moon and then add a couple of stars. Now, when you do your moon, you could do it at any phase. You could do a new moon, a crescent moon, that's up to you. I'm gonna do a crescent moon. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna draw the letter C with my yellow crayon. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go from point to point and turn it into a crescent with a little curve line there. Next, I'm gonna color that in. So it's kind of like a big C and a little C that touches on each point. There we go. Okay, so now using my yellow, I'm gonna add a couple of stars. Let's see, let's do one here. 1, 2, 3, add one more over here, 4. Just like that. And you could add more or less, but maybe start with 4 and then you could go back and add more as well. So again, still using my yellow, I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna draw broken lines. Because remember we talked about how Van Gogh used his brush strokes and he didn't hide those. It added to create the movement, and even it kind of added some texture to it. So I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna start with the moon and I'm gonna draw broken lines that go around the moon in a nice big circle. Okay, I'm gonna do that here. Broken lines that go around the stars. Just like that. Now I'm gonna go and let's add a couple more. And then remember, we set aside all of our warm colors, right? So I'm gonna switch. And again, I can come back to the yellow, of course. I'm gonna go over to my orange. I'm gonna add a little orange in there. And hopefully this will be easier to see. But see how I'm doing it? You call this a radial line. It's all coming from that circle. Same thing, I'm gonna add little ones over here. Add some on the moon too. Hope it stick out a little bit more. Let's see, I'm gonna add some pink. Go. Okay, so now I am done with my warm colors for right now. Again, you can always pull those back out, so don't put them away, you just want to slide them over. Now I'm gonna pull over my cool colors. I'm gonna grab some blues. I'll put my green over here, but I don't know if I'm gonna use it on the sky. You definitely can, but I don't know if I'm gonna use that. And again, like we talked about, this is another one of those swing ones. This is the red violet. It looks like a dark magenta, so I'm gonna kind of put that with my cool colors today. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, and I think this is probably the most noticeable part of your drawing, I'm gonna make a broken line that's very wavy, and I'm gonna kind of add those on here, okay? So I'm gonna start, let's see, I'm gonna start with blue. Actually, I'll do this one. So I'm just kind of making a wave. I'm gonna kind of make it turn like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and keep going. Now, if you want to make, this is what I was working on earlier. If you want to make your first line a continuous line, if that helps, do that. Because then you can go beside it and start adding those broken ones, and no one will know that you did that one first. Okay, so again, if it helps you, let's do another one here, to do a line like that first and then add it, do it. Okay, so move back over here to this guy. Keep going. So I'm just kind of filling that in with broken lines. Okay, now I can take some of my other blues. This one's called Cerulean. Kind of adding that beside it. I've got this red violet that I was telling you about. I'm gonna add some of that in here. Ooh, and some purple for sure. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna do it again. Okay, so I'm gonna come over, start one, I'm gonna do one here, and then I think I'll end up doing one there too. Now remember, when you do it, don't draw through the middle of your trees. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna start adding more broken lines beside it, and kind of filling it in. And switch to a different blue. Because one of the things that makes Starry Night so striking is that it uses all these different cool and warm colors. It's not just one blue or one yellow that he uses. There we go. Okay, let's add one more up here. And this one I'm just going to kind of let go off the page. Go to my purple. And again, you can add some green up here if you'd like. I'm going to leave mine like this.
Okay, so now I'm going to stop.
Now we're going to take our broken crayon and we're going to go in and we're going to color the background for the sky. Because remember, at any time, the sky would not be the color of this piece of paper. It would have blue on it. And you can choose whichever blue you'd like to use. So I'm going to come over, I'm going to lay it down flat, I'm going to move it back and forth. Now notice, am I going on top of the star? No, because I don't want my star to be blue. I'm just going to kind of go around. So again, I'm not going on top of my star, not going to go on top of my moon. Now, if you remember back to before Christmas, we talked about how you could take one of your crayons, and I'll show you real quick before I finish up. If you're using one of your crayons, instead of taking all the paper off, don't do that. That makes it so they break easily. But you can take just a little bit off the end, and then you can lay it flat, push it back and forth, and it does the same thing. Okay, either way works. But you don't take the whole paper off. So I'm gonna go back to use this. I'm going back and forth, and where I laid it flat, I'm filling it in. Again, don't put it on top of your star. If you feel like you need a placemat, then stop for a second and go get one. I'm not gonna color my snow. Let's see if we can get over here. And notice I'm turning my paper. It's not stuck to the table, so turn it however you need. There we go. There we go. Now, oh, almost forgot right here. Now I'm gonna find my yellow one, and I'm gonna do what I just showed you. I'm gonna take just the end of it. Again, I'm not taking it all off. Please don't mess up your crayons. Just taking a little bit. There we go. Now I can lay it here and just nice and easy fill that in because I don't really want it to be white. So I'm going on top of those just a little bit, not very hard. Nice and lightly. There we go. So now I have my snowman looking up at Starry Night.